Yes. So I'm also using that to go live. I think people can kind of hear you this way. Oh my God, I'm literally using two devices.
Technology. Woo!
Technology. Yes. Let's do this, guys. Let's do this. Hey, Sarah, thank you for joining us live. And because we're running late, let's just get started. So, you started your career as a celebrity radio DJ, and now you are an anxiety and stress expert. So, that sounds fascinating to me. Can you please share with us about your journey to become from a celebrity DJ to where you are today? So what is your why,
Right.
and what made you to be on this journey?
So I loved being a radio DJ. I had so much fun with it. But then I followed my husband's career and I spent some time staying home with my kids. And when I stopped my last radio job, I developed debilitating insomnia. And anybody who has experienced insomnia, I just said that and a chill went through their body because it's horrible. It's debilitating. And so I did what most people do and I went to the doctor and got a prescription. And it worked for a short time, and then it stopped. And it made things even worse. So out of necessity, like I also didn't know up until that time, the doctor was like, well, insomnia, anxiety, they go together. And I didn't realize that. I didn't realize I had struggled with anxiety my entire life. So when the medication stopped working and I was like, oh my gosh, what if I take the pill and I don't sleep? And it just got worse and worse. And I realized I had to do something different. I had to find out what was this thing, anxiety, and how could I get to the other side of it? Because I don't talk about managing it or coping with it. I truly talk about overcoming it and getting on the other side of it. So I started researching over 20 years ago out of necessity for myself. And then I started, learning all these different ways, like very easy ways to be able to find your balance because we can't control what's going on around us, right? We're going to have situations that cause us to get stressed and anxious.
Even just a few minutes ago, Stephanie, right? A few minutes ago, you and I were like stressing out here about technology. We're like, oh, what to do? Even now, right now, I'm like going crazy using like two computers. Oh my God. Yes. So I hear you. Yeah. Yeah. And as I was trying to get prepared for our interview, I actually did lots of research, and I discovered that anxiety disorder is actually among the most common mental illness in the United States, affecting 40 million people from 18 years old to above. And that is almost like 20% of the population. So too bad I couldn't share my screen right now. But I did have a few charts to show like anxiety disorder is like really the top compared to other types of mental illness, such as bipolar, depression, eating disorder, and so many others, especially among like entrepreneurs. Many of my friends join us live right now, and we are small business owners and entrepreneurs. And this population is especially susceptible to mental health and depression. So why do you think this is the case? Do you think this trend will ever like go away or slow down?
Well, my part in this is to hope that I can share ways to help calm the stress and anxiety. And I saw a recent Gallup survey. This was conducted across the globe, and they said that Americans are among the most stressed in the world. And that when asked about your feelings the day before, 55% of them said they felt a lot of stress. 45% felt a lot of worry. 22% felt a lot of anger. And so that is not good. That's not healthy. And as entrepreneurs, we have whole nother layers of stress because we don't have a steady paycheck that we can count on. It's like, okay, am I going to have enough to get through to the end of the month? How am I going to attract new clients? We have all these additional stresses that people with a traditional job don't have.
Oh, yes, totally. I want to ask everyone in the live audience, when was the last time that you felt like stressed out or anxious about something? For me, it was like right now, actually 2 minutes ago.
Right.
And I'm still hoping, like, I think we're also live on LinkedIn, Periscope, YouTube, and I'm transmitting Stephanie's voice from my cell phone to computer right now. I hope this is working.
That's
If you guys
amazing.
are watching us on LinkedIn or anyone, let me know if you can hear us. This is like next level stress right now. So yes, someone said yesterday, I think it was Tim, yeah, like talking about stress, and yes, totally, yeah, totally. And I love what you mentioned, Stephanie, in your book, adverse childhood experiences. This is something I'm totally not familiar with. And in the same section in your book, and you're also talking about how we can rewire our brain. That sounds fascinating to me. So, can you please tell us more about ACE, adverse childhood experiences, and how we can rewire our brain? If you can share a few examples with us, that would
Yes.
be amazing.
I love that I can point to research now, because when I first started over 20 years ago, there wasn't a lot of research for me to say, hey, look, here it is. It's statistical, that it's not me just saying, oh, let me make this up. So the Adverse Childhood Experiences study was actually done back in the late 1990s, but only has come to light in the past few years. And it's the ACEs quiz, Adverse Childhood Experience. Big study that was put on by the Centers for Disease Control and Kaiser Permanente, and they asked 17,000 adults 10 simple questions about childhood. Did you experience this in childhood? They asked about abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse. They talked about addictions in the family, or mental illness in the family. And they found a direct correlation that the higher you score on this quiz, the greater the likelihood you will experience mental and physical dis-ease as adults, obesity, diabetes, depression, suicide attempts, addictions. And then I also think that it also would transfer to financial situations as well.
Mhm.
And that's, like, they didn't say this in the study, but to me, all right, if you experience this in your childhood, yes, you're going to probably experience some financial issues in adulthood. If you grew up with addicted parents, there was probably a financial issue in the family. So my excitement about this is, it
Mhm.
doesn't mean, all right, I'm a high achiever. Guess who scored really high on the ACEs quiz? I did.
Ah!
And so that's not one you want to score high on. You don't want to score high on this, but I did. And the exciting news is that just because you scored high on that quiz does not doom you to, oh, well, I'm going to have depression, I'm going to be obese, I'm going to, have suicide attempts. We can rewire it. We can heal those
Yes.
childhood traumas. And that's where the very exciting work for me is that we can go back, and not on a conscious level, because on a conscious level, we probably don't even know these things. We think we know where the problem started, but it's almost never there. It's something different. And I have this really wonderful gift and ability to be able to help you find where these childhood traumas, whether it's a capital T trauma like they ask about in the ACEs, or small t traumas, where something that seems so insignificant, we're like, okay, what could that possibly, but then at 50 something years old, then you're like, oh, okay, and we do the healing around that. It's literally healing that cellular memory and rewiring the brain to a new pattern.
Mhm. Yeah, oh, this is amazing. If you guys are watching me live on my pop on YouTube or on LinkedIn, I shared a screen of the ACEs study, and I actually took the quiz before our interview, and I'm not my score is pretty high. It's number 3. But I think you mentioned in the book, if your score is number 4, it means you are like high level of risk, right? So I highly recommend that everyone check this out. And this is not the score that you want to be an overachiever. So
Not at all.
lower is better. Yeah.
Yes.
Because I'm just reading everyone's comments right now from Team Sarah and everyone. Like everyone is being affected by this like this constant, I'm seeing some keywords here like stressed, overwhelmed, constantly every day. So this is really affecting everybody. And so interesting you mentioned that you can help people from 8 years old to 80 plus years old to kind of rewire their brain. So do you have, so to me, with younger children, it seems to be easier. So do you have a story to share with us, Stephanie, where you helped kind of an older, like I'm 40 years old. To me, it feels like it's so hard to change. When I look at my young children, it is not that hard. So can you share a story with us where you helped an older client to kind of rewire their brain and to help them like kind of be better, I guess, reverse their childhood traumas?
Yes, one of my I absolutely loved this woman. 82 years old, and she came to work
Amazing.
with me. She had some stomach issues. Now, a lot of people who have stomach issues, it's emotionally caused, right? And people don't necessarily make that connection. But at the time, I had a hypnosis practice for 10 years. And so she heard me in an interview say that irritable bowel syndrome was well served
Mhm.
with hypnosis. So she, 82 years old, and she said, I don't want to live my life like this anymore. And
That's
so she
amazing.
came to me, we did the healing work. It was rooted in childhood. And I got an email from her afterwards. She was a devout Catholic, and she would go and do the readings at the morning mass. And she made a mistake. And she said, for the first time in my life, it didn't matter. I didn't beat myself up.
I
And
love it.
82 years old, she was courageous enough to say, I don't want to live like this anymore.
Wow, this is so amazing. That is, oh, I love this. That give me lots of hope, right? Hey, Mandy, thank you for joining us. Yeah, I also love kind of we are talking about this. So many of us we try to use affirmations. At least I tried, and I love how you mentioned in your book, which is an amazing book, by the way, everyone. And
Thank
we're going
you.
to share a link. Yes, yes, yes. Goodbye anxiety, hello freedom. I just love the title of the book. And you talked about how affirmations don't work. And amen. I can so relate because affirmations only seem to work when I'm happy, when I'm like content. Like just now, when I felt so stressed out and anxious, affirmations don't work because my body is telling me something else. So, so can you explain to us why affirmations don't work and how can we make this work to bring us more peace, more joy, and more abundance?
Now, see, we had to start out feeling stressed so we could have this conversation, right? It's perfect
Yes.
because in that moment when we were having these technical challenges, if we both said, okay, let's just stop and say an affirmation, I feel calm and peaceful, everything inside of us would be going, no, 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 no. So
Exactly.
we push against those affirmations because everything in us says that's not the truth. So instead,
Mhm.
we can do affirmations. And full credit to Noah St. John, who wrote this book, Affirmations. It's brilliant. Instead of affirming something that we know is not the truth, right? Oh, I feel calm and peaceful when I'm freaking out. So instead, we turn it into a question. How am I able to feel calm and peaceful? And then our mind is like a Google search and it's going out there to try and find
Mm,
ways for us to be calm and peaceful. So, oh, all right, I can be calm and peaceful because I can stop and think, I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out, I'm breathing in, I'm
mm.
breathing out. Something that simple. But so then we're opening up to the possibilities. Like, we do a Google search and we get, hundreds of thousands of results in less than a second. And so our brains are more powerful than any computer we've come up with
Oh,
yet. So
amen.
when we can harness our brain to change it around, if I can share a quick story about affirmations, I love sharing this story. Do I have your permission?
Oh yeah, please.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So my son, again, I had a hypnosis practice all through high school. He called me the woo-woo crackpot because he just didn't believe in any of this stuff that I do. I'm helping people make incredible, amazing life changes. And he's like, eh. Well, he graduated from college with honors and no job. So you can
Mhm.
imagine there was a serious level of stress and anxiety. And after 2 months, he finally said, Mom, can you help me with this? And so I shared the affirmations with him, and he took it a step farther. He was not living at home at the time, and he sent me pictures via phone of he wrote the question out. Why is it so easy for me to find the perfect job? And so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then he took it a step further and wrote out pages and pages of why it was so easy for him to find a good job. Within 2 or 3 weeks, boom, he had a job. It was in Marathon, Florida, which is in part of the Florida Keys. And I went down there with him to help him find a place to live. And Negative Ned checked us in at the condo that I had rented for the week. Oh, the housing market's horrible here. He's never going to find anything. Oh, blah, blah, blah. We went into the condo and said, okay, Nana, we can't hear you. And let's start doing our affirmations. So we're both not just saying it out loud, but handwriting it because it wires it in your brain differently. Why is it so easy for me to find the ideal place to live in my budget? And sure enough, the
Mm.
kid found a 2-room suite in a 3-story mansion with an elevator within walking distance of the beach for his exact amount of money.
Wow.
And I share
That
that
is
because there's that big disbelief, and it worked anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, oh my God, give me goosebumps. I love stories like that because you can relate to everyday people so much better. When this can happen to others, you just feel like this can happen to me as well.
Exactly.
And so I just want to say hi. We are actually live on LinkedIn. So this I just kind of my spontaneous solution kind of works. So, but anyway, everyone, I can't really type anything right now because both of my hands are holding my cell phone right now. And but I just want to say hi to everyone joining us on Facebook, on my personal page, on public page, on LinkedIn, on Periscope, on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us. We are talking about how to overcome stress and anxiety as busy entrepreneurs. And join me live is the one and only Stephanie, who is the author of her new book, Goodbye Anxiety, Hello Freedom. And so we're halfway through our conversation. I just want to say hi to everyone. Yeah. So sorry to interrupt you. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no, wonderful. And thank you
Yeah.
all for joining.
Your book is actually very thin, which is great, right? So we don't want to have some stress from a big 400 pages book. So I love that. But you have so many like powerful tips and statements in the book. And one thing that really stood out, one sentence stood out to me is our subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between real and imagined. So, can you explain this to us? And how can we apply the profound philosophy behind this statement to bring more inner peace and joy and freedom to our life as busy entrepreneurs who have multiple lives and multiple jobs?
Excellent. I would love to take you through an exercise, you and your listeners. If you, as long as you're not driving, just close your eyes or let them come to a soft gaze and imagine that we're in the same room together. And I bring out a cutting board and a lemon, but it's a lemon from Costco. So it's like the size of a grapefruit and a sharp knife. And imagine that I take that lemon and I start rolling it around to loosen up the juices on the cutting board. And ooh, maybe you can imagine starting to smell a little bit of that lemony goodness. And then imagine that I take that very sharp knife and I slice it in half. And then, ooh, maybe you can feel some of the juices spraying on your face or your hands. And then, oh, you can smell that even more. And imagine now that you pick up one of those halves of the lemon eye and you put it up under your nose and you take a smell of that lemony goodness. And then you open your mouth and you take a big, juicy bite. What just happened in your mouth?
Oh my God, so sour.
And
Ooh, I need some water.
it was all imagined. Yes?
Oh, someone said, Sabrina said she's hungry now.
And so I have you do that because I can say, all right, the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between real and imagined. You think, all right, what does that mean? But then when you experience that and you get that sour taste in your mouth or your mouth puckers up, it's like, whoa, that really is powerful. So we can harness that power of our subconscious mind to prepare for things in the future. If we have a big pitch with a big client coming up,
Mm,
we can do a dress rehearsal in our mind and have it go absolutely everything possible wrong. And guess what's going to
mm,
happen? That. Or we can rehearse in our mind over and over again that we are completely calm and grounded and confident, and that the other person is totally receptive to our ideas and our pitch. And what are the chances that that's going to happen? Right? So we can harness this power of our subconscious mind to create what we want instead of just, letting life, bounce us about like, when we're in the waves in the ocean. If you think about athletes do this all the
mm.
time. Michael Phelps, who's won the most gold medals of
Oh,
anybody in history, it wasn't just because he did the physical practice, he did that mental practice as well. He imagined being in the water and his finger touching the wall first, every flip on the wall. And he didn't just stop with his finger touching the wall.
mm.
He always saw, felt, and imagined that he was on the podium. But do you think he ever imagined himself on the silver or the bronze? No, he
Oh,
always was on the gold podium, and he made it happen.
that's
So as
amazing.
entrepreneurs, it's rewiring the brain to look for how we can create situations the way we want them to instead of being passive. And especially if we do that dress rehearsal of how we don't want things to go, we're programming. Hey, this is how it's going to happen. And then it does.
Oh, this is fascinating. Actually, the story you just shared reminds me of one of my other favorite teachers besides you, Stephanie, and his name is Dr. Joe Dispenza. I love his work. And in
Yes.
his book, he actually discussed, I think, shared stories of piano players. So one group of piano players, and they practiced physically every day. Another group, they don't practice physically, they do mental practice, kind of mental rehearsal. And guess what? I think the group did the mental rehearsal. They did like equally amazing, if not better, compared to the other group. So to me, that was, oh my God, that is an amazing way to rewire our brain without doing the work, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah, it
And
is fascinating. Yeah.
you did a training with Dr. Joe, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I I trained with him a couple of years ago, and he, again, I didn't have any of this research when I started out. And so, I can point to this research. He also talks about, if you remember, I'm sure he talked about the hotel maids and how
Mhm.
they were told that, it was the whatever government agency says you need to do 60 minutes of exercise 5 times a week or whatever it is. And are you waving to somebody?
Oh, waving to people on LinkedIn. We have
Okay.
more than 20 people joining us on LinkedIn. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. So
Everyone loves you, Stephanie. And I can see comments. And yes, like, I love this lady. Okay.
oh, thank
Yes.
you. Thank you. So the hotel maids, this was so incredible. They were told, all right, you're supposed to exercise this much. Well, they were already doing that much exercise, flipping the mattresses, running the vacuums and stuff. So they told half the women, half the cleaning people, this information and didn't tell the other half. And I think it was maybe 6 weeks later or whatever, they checked back in, and the half that were told, oh, you're already doing all this exercise, had lost weight and toned up their bodies. They weren't doing anything differently, but now they had a new program in their brain that said
Amen.
they were doing this exercise. So when we harness the power of our brain, Dr. Joe has done so much research. I mean, he really drills it down. So it's not this like, oh, I'm trying to come up with some idea. He's going, hi, I can prove it. I can show you the brain waves and how they're changing. So we can very simply change our brain waves. We can change our patterns. And yet sometimes we need the extra help. I have, as I said, I trained with Dr. Joe. I've trained with world-class coaches and healers. I've, had coaches and healers help me with my stuff. So I don't want to say, oh yeah, buy my book and you'll, never experience anxiety, because did I experience some anxiety when we were having these technical issues? Yes, but I chose to respond instead of react. And that is such a key, that
Mhm.
we have that when things happen, and they're going to, as we experience, right? We have this little teeny sliver of a second where we get to choose whether we react in the same old pattern or we respond in a new, healthy way. And that's really the
Yeah.
essence of why I wrote the book.
Yeah, yeah, I love those stories, and I will make sure to enter the link. It's very hard for me right now. It's both of my hands are holding my cell phone, so I'm going to enter the link to Stephanie's website and also Dr. Joe, because I came back from his retreat. I literally saw people who hadn't walked for so many years started walking out of their wheelchair, and people who regained their vision, like blind people, like instantaneously. It blew my mind away. And even myself, I had some involuntary body movement because of the energy. There's so much we don't know, we don't see. And I think that makes what this work really fascinating, and also gives us lots of hope, Stephanie, to know that we
Thank
have
you.
the power to change our lives. So to me, that is amazing. Yeah.
Well, and that it's funny you said that phrase, because I've used that phrase, the power to change your life, for so long. And I used to have a podcast called The Power to Change Your Life, because I am all about opening up possibilities.
Open
That
up.
it's not like it doesn't have to be this big, huge, hard, heavy thing to do. Change can happen, and it can happen quickly, and it doesn't have to
Amen.
hurt. It does not
Yes.
have to
What?
hurt.
Yes, what a perfect transition to the second segment of our interview. I love how in your book you listed 35 very simple but effective ways for us to overcome stress. And two of my favorites, I feel like really, really easy to do, don't even take any time. So one is essential oil, and the second one is drink up, not alcohol, everyone. I know what you're thinking about. And so please explain them to us and also share with us your personal favorite techniques.
Okay. Ooh, that's going to be hard, because there's so many. But the reason I have 35, and if you notice, they're in alphabetical order. It's because, and you said it's a really thin book, because I don't want to give you a 400-page book and have you experience even more overwhelm. I want you to read the first two chapters, very thin chapters, and then peruse through the techniques and say, drink up. What's that? It's not about drinking alcohol, right? And I purposely did drink up, because it's like, wait, what? You're telling me to drink? But it's drink some water, drink some chamomile tea. Some of my favorite teas, there are special teas by Yogi Tea. There's one that's a honey lavender stress relief tea, and I
Oh,
love it. And not only is it this delicious and calming tea, but it also has these great little messages on the flap for the tea bag, these inspirational messages. So you're not only calming and quieting yourself, you also get the inspiration on this little tea bag too. So, again, I'm not saying, oh, this tea and go to my website and buy it. It's like, oh, let me just share with you these things that work. And so if you think about, a calming tea, like a lot of us, probably not everybody, but a lot of us think, ooh, a cup of tea, that's just like so relaxing. And then when you are drinking specific teas that are developed to calm you down, honey and lavender in this tea mix, in, I don't remember which tea, it's some kind of tea blend that has bergamot in it. And bergamot oil is one of the oils that I use to help with stress and anxiety. There
wow.
are specific oils, like think people probably mostly know about lavender, right?
Lavender, I love this. Yeah.
We know it's calming, and so, I can just put on a little lavender, and that
Wow.
helps my mood, and so
That's
the essential
amazing.
oils, some people, like, "Oh, this is like, hippy dippy stuff," and it's not.
Yeah.
They found oils in the pyramids, in the tombs, right? So centuries ago, the baby Jesus, what did the wise men bring? Frankincense, myrrh, they're both essential oils, and gold. And so,
Mhm.
essential oils truly are such a part of my healthcare, not just my emotional health, but my physical health as well. So I don't want to take up too much time talking about the essential oils, but people can always reach out to me through social media or through my website, and I could share more. My husband, literally, at the end of last year, we just experienced a true cancer miracle, and the essential oils were
Wow.
a part of it. There were a lot of different things, but I don't want to take up too much time on this. But it's on my website if people want to go learn about this miracle that my husband experienced. But so,
I want to hear it now. Can you quickly
all
please
right,
share
all
with
right.
us? You
I'll make it as concise as I can. He had a liver transplant 16 years ago, which was his first medical miracle, right? I mean, that's a miracle. And then in September, on our anniversary, ironically, he had a lesion on his arm biopsied, and he'd had these basal cell skin carcinomas before, so we didn't think it was a big deal. Yeah, it turned out it was a big deal. It was identified as a very rare and fatal cancer caused by the anti-rejection medication he's been taking since the transplant. Um, Very fatal. Like, with treatment, a 25% chance of survival at 1 year, 0% at two. And so I believe in possibilities. I believe that we can, find a way.
yeah.
And so my husband, who was not into any of this stuff, like, he was supportive of it, but, all right, that's a little out of my comfort zone. I got him on these different healing modalities, energy healings, sound healing, some specific green juices. Wild blueberries are the superfood. If you Google
Wow.
medical medium and wild blueberries, you'll be amazed. I've been having these wild blueberry shakes for 2 or 3 years now, because he says this is the superfood. We think the superfood is down in the Amazon, but it's really in these wild blueberries. And then I also had him on some specific essential oils. And before we went to go see the specialist of this cancer, which happened to be, we're right outside New York City, and the specialist was in New York City, he had a PET scan. And his primary care physician could not get on the phone fast enough to tell him, it's clear. It's
Wow.
clear. And so some people have said, oh, it was a misdiagnosis. There were 3 different pathologists who confirmed this diagnosis, and there is no cancer.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. And so I share that because if it gives one person hope and possibility, if one person says, oh, well, what did you do? I'm happy to share. So again, I'm all about hope and possibilities, and the change is possible.
Oh, I love this. First of all, congratulations. That is
Thank you.
amazing.
It
Yes,
is.
I really love. I think as human beings, we are being conditioned by our society, our educational system, our parents, or whatever, to think in terms of limitations, right? Problems. Like, if there are 100 things that are going great, we don't care. But if there's only one thing that is not going good, and our brain just got stuck, we just cannot stop thinking about it. So I love how you are talking and sharing this story, and it really reminds me and makes it feel like how important it is that we start to think in terms of miracles, in terms of possibilities and opportunities. So I really love this. And
Thank
can
you.
you also, as we are talking about this, maybe discuss really quickly about gratitude? I think that is another really powerful energy. Just a quick story. When I was attending Dr. Joe's meditation retreat, and my body was like shaking. This is going to freak some people out. So sorry about that. I really geek out on this. So if you are not into meditation, so sorry. And so my body was shaking like really intensively. I couldn't control. And I noticed when I was in that state, I started to respond to energy, not linguistic language, but energy. So when Dr. Joe, who is the meditation teacher, when he was talking about using the word gratitude, I felt the hugest amount of energy, like my body was about to pass out, compared to other words that he spoke, such as like even love or like or some other things. I don't respond as strongly as the word gratitude. It was just so, I was like, wow, I shocked myself. So can you please explain how we can apply gratitude to improve our life to be stress free?
Yes, yes, and I love that you had that experience. I am so happy that you had that experience because I too, when I trained with him, my body was just like vibrating at such a high level. And Abraham Hicks has a scale of emotions of 26, and the number one, is joy and love. And the bottom
Mm,
one is hate and anger, right?
mm,
So we want to keep moving up to those higher levels. It doesn't mean if you're depressed and you're down near the bottom of it, it doesn't mean like, oh, let me click my heels 3 times and all of a sudden I'm going to feel joyful. It's moving up. And gratitude allows us to start looking for the positive. We train our brain to start looking for the positive instead of what you just said a moment ago, where 100 things are great and there's one thing that's not, and that's where our attention goes. But where our attention goes is where our focus goes, and we get more of that. So I start my day every single morning before my feet hit the floor with thank you, thank you, thank you, and express at least 3 things or more that I'm grateful for. Because first of all, there is something very spiritually, energetically powerful about 3. If you
mm.
think about, there's 3 primary colors, 3 prime numbers. There's 3 in most organized religions. Like you start looking and it's like 333. So
Oh
thank you,
yeah,
thank you,
that's
thank
the
you.
magic number.
And then 3 things that you're grateful for. And when years ago, when I had my podcast, I interviewed Dr. Joe Vitale from The Secret, and we talked about gratitude. And he had a period of time where he was homeless, and so he is so big on gratitude. And um,
Wow.
he said, I wake up and I'm grateful I'm in a bed. I'm grateful that I have a roof over my head.
Wow.
Some mornings it's going to be really tough, and you wake up and you just feel like, oh, but then if you shift it, instead of, oh, this is wrong, that's wrong, this is wrong, if you shift it to thank you, thank you, thank you. I slept in a bed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I have a roof over my head.
Mm.
Thank you. I remembered to brush my teeth last night. It doesn't have to be big things like I won the lottery. And very interesting that I just learned this recently, that Wellbutrin produces dopamine in the brain, Prozac produces serotonin. And what triggers both of them? Gratitude.
Wow.
So we can trigger the production of these incredibly powerful hormones
That
with
is
no nasty side effects.
that is amazing. It's like the best medicine and it is free. I
Yeah,
love this. I love
yeah.
this.
And
So do
and
you have a do you do your gratitude list every single day, Stephanie?
yes, it's not always written down, but I would probably recommend for people who don't have a gratitude practice going, that it would be really helpful to put a little, pen and paper on your bedside table and start the habit of, when you wake up in the morning, I write thank you with 1 exclamation point, thank you with 2 exclamation points, and then thank you with 3 exclamation points, because I feel like that's just really adding such powerful energy into it. And so, like any habit, it takes practice, right? You don't, Michael Phelps didn't jump in a pool one time and then win all those gold medals. He practiced and practiced and practiced. So as we start this gratitude practice, all of a sudden we start noticing that we're feeling more joy in our lives, that we're able
Mhm.
to find more balance. And so that's the simplest thing. Like, start, all right, 3 things I'm grateful for. Try not to make them the same 3 things every day, because then that's just like rote memorization and you're not going to get
Yeah.
the energy activation out of it.
Yeah, I love this. Yeah, I also love. Sorry again, I couldn't do any commenting, but I'm reading the comments. I love what Sabrina, who is an amazing life work balance coach, and she's talking about how we need to feed our body healthy food and healthy thoughts. It is so true. Yeah, we need to take care of ourselves. Yeah, not
Yeah.
to let others. To disturb our inner peace or like the media, whatever. Yeah, so as we're wrapping up, almost 1 hour, Stephanie. So we're just wrapping up here. If you are just joining us, I saw quite a few people just join us on Facebook. Hey guys, Ursula, Keith, Zakia, thank you. And hey everyone on different channels. We are wrapping up here. If you have any last minute question, let me know and I will try our best to ask Stephanie to answer. So most of my audience, we are social media marketers, busy entrepreneurs, and social media is our business. And I love how you talked about distractions and we need to turn off our notifications. And so like how can we do it? Like give us some practical tips, Stephanie, for us who are social media, who are digital marketers. We have to be on Facebook, we have to do things like this. So how can we have a balance if possible without negatively affecting our business?
It's to start small and to start simple. If I said, okay, uh, get off social media for a whole day, everyone listening would be like, no, I can't do that. But if, oh, okay, can I invite you to set a timer that after 30 minutes, you'll take 10 minutes off?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. I can probably do that. So I was at a conference a couple of years ago with where Tony Fadell, the inventor of the iPod and
Mm.
co-inventor of the first 3 generations of the iPhone, talked about how our devices are intentionally addictive. All of the
Wow.
notifications that we get, it's because they give us a dopamine hit. And when we get a dopamine hit, we want another dopamine hit. And so they are intentionally addictive like that. So I would suggest, invite, if you want to just start to make some simple shifts, because that's what creates
Mm.
lasting change, to turn off some of those notifications, to set a timer that after 30 minutes, you'll take a 10-minute break. There's a Pomodoro method of
Mm.
productivity, which is 20 minutes. You set a timer for 20 minutes and you stop. When that timer goes off, if you're in the middle of typing a sentence, you just stop and you shut down for 10 minutes. So starting small where it's achievable, where, if I said, oh yeah, take a whole day off social media, it's gonna be that pushback. But
That's
oh,
right.
could I stop for 10 minutes? Huh.
That's
Wow,
right.
I could stop for even just a few minutes and breathe.
Yeah, 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 yeah. This is so true. Like I saw people. I actually just got a DM from Kitty who said that she loves everything that you mentioned. So thank you for watching, Kitty. This I love this. Start like baby steps and just like take a mental break. Actually, it works. Now as I think about it, many of my there's the shower effect, right? Many of my brilliant or good ideas actually just came to me as I was not doing work at all. I think sometimes our brain needs like that space to actually to think. Like if this makes sense, is like if you are always running around and so busy with whatever, you almost have no time to work on the business. But sometimes I feel like we need that space to allow creative energy to flow. So I love this method of just
Exactly.
taking short breaks. Yeah.
So I would invite anybody who's still wearing a busy badge to take it off. And,
Mm.
oh, I don't have to be busy. I can be productive. And by taking those mini breaks, if you take mini breaks, and this is the whole reason why I've got all those very simple, easy techniques that you can weave in through every day, you take those little mini breaks throughout the day. That's how you find balance. It's not if I say, right, well, the key is you're going to meditate for 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes at night. And that's unachievable. If you don't have a meditation practice in place to say
Mm.
20 minutes twice a day, it's not going to happen. But can you stop and think, I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out for 10 seconds? Yeah, you can.
That's so true. I love this. Yeah, I love what Lori mentioned. Like remind herself to use a timer, and when the time is up, take a break, and then you will feel a lot more refreshed. Yeah, and also Sabrina mentioned that she actually wrote a blog. So Sabrina, maybe you can share the link to your blog with us, and we can check that out later. Yeah. So when I started my meditation journey, I couldn't even close my eyes for maybe 5 seconds. Felt like 5 hours. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
god, I can't. There's so much outside going on. I just literally can't. But now I easily meditate for 1 hour. Again, this is going to freak out some people. So I meditated 1 hour in the morning, and then I think once you get used to it, Stephanie, I don't know if this is your case as well. You just love it. It is such. I wish sometimes I could just sit the whole day in my house to meditate, not doing anything. It was such an amazing feeling to connect to the grand universe and the love, and you just feel like so good. You forget about where you are, who you are. It is the best feeling ever. And yeah, so like I think there's
But
this like initial period to get started. Yeah.
well, and yet it did freak some people out to hear you say you meditate for a full hour. Like, what? That's why I have meditation is one of the techniques, right? In my book. But that's why I have so many different ones because we don't
That's
have a
right.
one size fits all approach. So if you get freaked out and think, meditation, no, okay, you can find something else.
That's awesome. Yeah. So as I mentioned, those of you who joined late, Stephanie is the author of her new book, Goodbye Anxiety, Hello Freedom. And so where can we get a copy of your book? I think you also mentioned somewhere else you have a freebie, right? Like some free techniques
Yes.
that you share. Yeah. So
Yeah.
where
So
can we?
you can get the book on paperback or Kindle through Amazon, and you can get 5 of the techniques for free at number 5 easy ways to calm anxiety.com. And that's my gift to you, that's my gift to the world. And if you buy the book, you can feel really, really good about it because I have a charitable initiative. Our children,
Oh,
teens, and young adults are having crisis levels of stress, anxiety, and depression now. So for every book that I sell, I donate a book to a school or organization that is teaching these skills to our children because they need our help. So that's my give back for all the incredible things that have happened in my life.
amen.
Thank
Amen.
you.
Music to my ears. I'm actually also building my own school, Classroom Without Walls Academy. And one of my common core is mental health, emotional intelligence. I work with undergraduate students all the time, Stephanie. I can see it every year. It is getting worse and worse. The amount of my students, the number of my students who have mental health issues sharply increasing. And it was crazy. It was not like this. I have only been teaching for 10 years. I didn't see this many before, but now it is like really a lot. So thank you for doing that. And also share with us where can people learn more about you on social media? On which channel are you most active and people can have a conversation with you?
Facebook, Twitter, and I'm just getting into LinkedIn and Instagram. I am an amateur photographer, and so I love to take pictures. And my engagement with the things where I use my picture and I put a graphic on it, some words on it, that is what people are really resonating with because they're seeing what I see through my eyes and what I'm
Mhm.
sharing. It's always about possibilities. So I would love to people connect with me on any of the channels and my website, stephaniedelfonso.com. If you look at the Work With Me page, you'll see a really sweet picture of me and my sweet rescue dog, Maggie.
Oh, I love that picture. I saw it.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah. Yeah, this is great, Stephanie, and thank you for sharing so many great tips with us. I highly recommend you guys check out her book. Such a great book. You can use it as a manual, right? Like a reference book.
Yeah.
Whenever you feel like you want to try out a different method, and she has 35 different techniques. I love it. And thank you for joining us live, everyone. We did it. We
Thank
actually
you.
use both my phone and look, this is my computer. So we are literally like I don't know, transmitting the sound from my smartphone to my computer. Wow, this is amazing. So, amen. We did it. The energy works.
Yay!
So, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. I will definitely make sure to catch up on everyone's comments. I will also share links to Stephanie's social media and to the website and to the book after my hands are free. So, thank you so much again, Stephanie. And thank you so much, everyone. I love you guys and stay peaceful and have inner joy. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye.